Made Easy appliance in VMware is a quite simple process. The first thing you'll need to do is obviously obtain the OVA file, and this can be done by contacting Storage Made Easy Sales. Once you do, simply open Virtual Center, and within Virtual Center, you're going to want to pick one of your clusters, deploy OVF template, and then either if you've downloaded the actual OVA file, you can use local file and browse. For me, I'm just going to directly paste the URL of the OVA file. Next, I need to name the system, and I'm going to name it Learn. You'll want to pick where you want to deploy the actual OVA into, which cluster or folders. You'll also be able to pick a data center, and if you have different ESX hosts, which ones you'd want to deploy it on, or allow DRS to choose. The system does use 72 gigabytes of space. However, this can be thin provisioned, and we'll see that in the next step. And so when I choose my storage, I'm also able to choose whether or not I want the system to be thin provisioned. For POCs and for testing the system, this is absolutely fine. And then lastly, the system comes with a single NIC installed. If you need multiple NICs, please contact our support or your sales engineer. I'm going to pick our development network for this training exercise. Now that I'm ready to deploy, I can press Finish to deploy. Now the OVA that is distributed for Storage Made Easy is compatible with all versions of VMware Virtual Center and ESXi 5.1 and above. If you are running 5.1 and you're not running the web interface for Virtual Center, it's perfectly fine to still use the thick client. Other reasons that you would use the thick client for VMware is if you're possibly running a single ESXi host and you don't have Virtual Center installed, click File, Deploy OVF Template, and then you'll run through the exact same procedure that we just went through. Let's switch back to our deployment, and we can see that it's about 21% done. I'm going to speed up this video. Deploying the Storage Made Easy OVA took about 10 minutes in my environment, but obviously this will depend on the environment that you have. We do recommend deploying it to solid-state storage as we run a MySQL database that can be greatly accelerated by using solid-state storage or a fast NAS or SAN. Again, to notice in our system, the version of ESXi is compatible with 5.1 and above. And before we actually power this on the first time, let's just look at the settings that are deployed with it. So the OVA comes pre-configured using 2 CPUs. 2 CPU is perfectly fine for a demo or a test environment, ranging up to production, running these with 8 CPU. Memory by default is 4 gigabytes, and again, this is perfectly fine for the demos and for just POCing the appliance. Again, there's no reason that this cannot be increased to 8, 16, or 32 gigabytes of memory for further improvements in performance. The system has 2 hard drives, each 36 gigabytes, that can be grown as well. And the only other thing that I'd like to bring your attention to is that if you're using VMware and you use the host to synchronize the time with your machines instead of NTP, you'll want to go to VMware Options, VM Tools, and click off this button here, Synchronize Guest Time with Host. Again, if your environment uses NTP, NTP is running within the appliance. However, the appliance will need to obviously contact an external NTP server. We're going to hit OK, and we're going to go ahead and power this machine on. open a remote console. Now that my console is up and running, I can see a couple things. I can see that the Storage Made Easy file fabric has been successfully deployed to the VMware environment, and I can also see that it's gained an IP address from DHCP. If this is the case, you can skip to our video on configuring with the SME config user for the SSL certificates and the host name. If your environment does not use DHCP, please watch our next video on the net configuration for static IP addresses.